The system wants me to raise a kid. But I was a good-for-nothing since I was young. My little villain comes home holding 2 perfect scores on his tests. I want to go to Peking University in the future. I stuff my CrossFire game into his hands. What's the use of Peking University? Help me get to the A level first. After the end-of-term exam results are out, the little villain sadly hangs his head. Although I got the first place in the grade this time, it's 1 point lower than last time. I want to sign up for tutoring classes. I promise while eating takeout, alright. Turning around, I send him to a cooking class. The little villain is going through puberty and wants to go to an internet cafe. Afraid he'll cause trouble, I secretly follow him. But I see him turn into the library halfway. Me. Later, the villain who graduated from Peking University became a rising star in the business world, successful in his career. At a speech back at his alma mater, someone asked him the secret to his success. He lowered his eyes and glanced at the seating area, at me who was munching on sugar cane, playing games, and listening to trashy novels. He said faintly, I have a fun-loving aunt. Me? ? Chapter 1. The system took me to find Nathan Bell when he had just lost his mother. He was wearing a black armband, his long eyelashes drooping, quietly sitting at his desk doing homework. Hearing the noise, he only lifted his thin eyelids and gave me a light glance. Then buried himself back into the book. System, okay, your current identity is his. I couldn't wait to interject, aunt. ? System, isn't stepmother okay? Sounds so cold and aloof. Me, what do you know? Aunts are the most affectionate and admired figures in everyone's childhood, fashionable and rich. I was my aunt's most loyal servant when I was a kid. See, it can really close the relationship. With that, I flicked my big wavy hair, walked forward in 10-centimeter high heels, and revealed a kind and charming smile. Nathan? The slender boy didn't stop writing and gave a faint It's almost New Year's, why are you still studying? I reached out to touch his fluffy head, so well behaved. The moment my hand touched him, Nathan suddenly dodged to the side. He quickly hugged his head with both hands, his eyes tightly closed. His whole body was trembling slightly. I was stunned for a moment. Just as I was about to ask him what was wrong, I saw a patch of purple bruises on the exposed wrist of the boy. It was particularly glaring on his pale skin. The system explained. After Nathan's mother divorced, she suffered from mental illness, her emotions fluctuating. When she was good, she would cook and wash clothes for Nathan, and when she was bad, seeing Nathan's 99-point test paper, she would take a willow branch and whip him like crazy. While whipping, she would hysterically scream, I work so hard every day to provide you with food and clothing, is this how you repay me? Don't do anything else in the future, just study for me. Your mother only has you left now. If you don't become successful when you grow up, your mother is finished. As she shouted, Nathan's mother's voice gradually became smaller, until it became a deliberately neurotic whisper, Nathan, does it hurt? Come here, let mom rub it for you. Nathan got up from the ground. Limping, raw and ferocious blood-red marks turned outward on his delicate skin. He didn't cry or hide. Let his mother vent, just lowered his head and said very quietly, it doesn't hurt, Mom, I'm going to study. Then he sat upright at his desk. In fact, his shoulders hurt so much that he couldn't even lift them. But he stubbornly held the pen and began to write crookedly. Chapter 2. After listening, I was silent. I even felt a little fortunate in my heart. Nathan's mother's death was really too satisfying. I'm sorry. Forgive me, Buddha. Chapter 3. Although I'm not very good at raising kids, I've been a kid myself. I decided to give Nathan the happiest and most unforgettable childhood. I grabbed the system's feet and stomped down hard, shaking. A stack of cash and a black card fell out. Thanks. The system hugged my leg, pitifully, host, that's my private money. I poohed him, it's not like I won't return it to you. After I complete the mission, I'll share half of the gold coins with you. Gold coins are much more valuable than money on Earth. The system immediately didn't hurt in the waist, didn't ache in the legs, and stood up like a lackey. Spend it however you want, don't be polite. At night, I pushed a small cart, carrying a large bag of snacks and, bang, opened the door. Nathan. I threw the snack bag on Nathan's desk, which was full of books, and moved a pile of the latest model fruit phones, tablets, computers, and various game consoles from the small cart. I stuffed them all into Nathan's arms. Come on, these are New Year's gifts from your aunt. Nathan was a little confused. His dark eyes fell on me for a while, and then on the bed full of snacks and game consoles. After a long while, he pursed his lips, his voice very flat. Thank you, Aunt, I will study hard. With that, he bent down to pick up the fallen pen and got up to continue doing his homework. So well behaved that it broke my heart. I quickly grabbed his arm. I didn't buy these to motivate you to study hard. Nathan blinked, seeming a little confused. I took his hand. Don't study, let's go, and we'll take you to have some fun. Speaking of fun, no one is better than me at it. After all, I did everything except study when I was a kid. I was a very shocking existence among a circle of children of relatives and friends. My parents were carefree and thought it was good as long as I was healthy and happy. I think so too. After all, being alive is already good enough. Chapter 4. Taking Nathan to eat snacks and play games, KTV singing from time to time, playing until almost 12 o'clock. Then we went downstairs together to set off fireworks. Nathan wanted to sleep. I yawned, "Aunt is old, I can't stay up late anymore." I fell on the sofa after entering the door. The system also collapsed at my feet, exhausted. "You're really capable of making trouble." When I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, I saw that Nathan's room was brightly lit. Looking through the crack in the door, the boy was wearing a pure white shirt, his shoulder blades thin, his eyebrows and eyes clear and cold, looking down and writing. The clock on the wall showed 3:30 in the morning. I didn't hesitate to push the door open and walk in. "Nathan." The boy was startled by me, turned around to look over, with a hint of imperceptible fear in his eyes. "I will finish reviewing this week's content soon. I won't play any more in the future, Aunt, don't be angry." I was confused. "What are you talking about?" "I just want you to sleep." System quietly whispered in my ear. Before, Nathan's mother took him out to play for a day, and when she came back at night, she had an attack, beating him and forcing him to study, telling him not to sleep tonight, and to make up for the time wasted during the day. So, Nathan was already traumatized to the point of having PTSD. He subconsciously thought I would do the same. Almost cautiously. Even after his mother passed away. The shadow left on Nathan was deeply rooted. Thinking of this, my heart felt a pang of sadness. I walked over and took his pen. "You've already done a great job, but rest is more important to you. Your health comes first. I don't care about grades. Aunt only hopes you are healthy and happy." Nathan didn't seem to understand. His beautiful eyes blinked very lightly, but he still obediently replied, "Okay, thank you, Aunt." System, he didn't listen at all. The impact his mother had on him is too great. I smiled. "It's okay, there's still a long time to go." Chapter 5. I stayed up late again, and in a daze, I heard the system reciting vocabulary. Hysterical? What's the English for hysterical? I didn't even open my eyes and replied, "Hysterical is collapse, lyrical hiss is delicious." Something's not right. Very, very wrong. I suddenly opened my eyes and saw the system holding a book, wearing gold-rimmed glasses, studying like a human. I kicked his book away. "What are you doing? Are you taking the postgraduate entrance exam?" System pushed his glasses. Seeing Nathan studying, I was deeply moved. I don't want to be a desperate illiterate anymore. I want to work hard. I caught the key point in his words. Nathan is still studying. I looked up at the clock on the wall, 4 in the morning. Good grief. I quickly got up and rushed to Nathan's room. Sure enough, I saw his back as he buried himself in reading. No, this can't go on. This kid will study himself to death. So, I made an agreement with Nathan. He could only study until 12 o'clock every day. Otherwise, Aunt would play KTV songs in his room with the stereo. Nathan frowned and agreed. System, host, do you know why Nathan agreed so quickly? Me, why? System, because you sing so terribly. Me, you wait, I'll make you wait forever. Chapter 6. It was Nathan's birthday. I personally made a strawberry cake. It was crookedly written, "Happy birthday, Nathan." The system was forced by me to turn into a kitten. When Nathan saw the kitten I was holding, his eyes lit up. I generously stuffed it into his hands. "Feel free to pet him." The system was not used to being held by someone. He opened his mouth to bite Nathan's arm. I coughed. The system closed his mouth dejectedly and glared at me fiercely. The candles were lit. The warm yellow light was neither too dim nor too intense, reflecting in the teenager's dark eyes. "Happy birthday to you." System, meow 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 meow. I cut a piece of cake and handed it to Nathan, "For our lovely birthday star." System, meow 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 meow. Nathan looked at the cake handed over, hesitated for a moment, and finally took it and ate it in small bites. I was satisfied and was about to cut another piece. But I heard a thump. Nathan fell straight down, his eyes tightly closed. A red rash quickly spread over his fair neck. "Me!" Exclamation point. System, meow. I slapped him. "You're too old to play cute, you know? Call 911 quickly." It wasn't until we got to the hospital that we found out that Nathan was allergic to milk and couldn't eat anything containing milk. After returning from the doctor, the teenager on the hospital bed was already awake. His small face was thin and weak, with a cold paleness in the cool light. When our eyes met, his dark eyes flinched for a moment. I rushed over with the cat bag on my back, tears in my eyes. Nathan. Nathan moved his lips, his eyes a little flustered and helpless. Aunt, I'm fine, it won't delay my studies, I can go home immediately. Before he finished speaking, he felt a warmth on his body. When he looked up, he met my concerned eyes. I was putting a big red padded jacket that I bought from the store downstairs on him. Come on, raise your arm. Nathan was a little puzzled, but he still obediently raised his arm. I deftly put the padded jacket on him, stepped back to admire it, and couldn't help but laugh. It's quite festive. Nathan, are you warm? I didn't bring any clothes when I left in a hurry, so I bought it casually. Nathan hesitated and nodded, then cautiously said, Aunt, I'm sorry, I wasted your time. I rubbed his head. That's nothing. Do you know you're allergic to milk? You have to remember it in the future, you scared me just now. I know. The smile on my face froze. What? Nathan tilted his head, his long eyelashes trembling. I know I'm allergic to milk. Then why did you eat it? I was so angry. Was this kid doing it on purpose? But you made that cake for a long time. I was stunned. The surrounding noise seemed to gradually fade away. A warm feeling spread from my chest to my eyes. I sighed and patted his head. This time it's my fault for not finding out beforehand. Also, I made the cake willingly. It's not to make you feel guilty and morally blackmail you into eating it even if you're allergic. Aunt only hopes that you can love yourself well, instead of prioritizing other people's feelings. Do you understand? Nathan nodded. I don't know if he heard it, but I felt his eyes brighten a little. Like the snow on the roof tiles. Reflecting the warmth of the whole winter. Chapter 7. There are a few days left until New Year's. I went to the supermarket to shop, and saw a peeled coconut on the table, with a straw thoughtfully inserted. Wow, it's peeled so well, but didn't the fruit knife at home break? I just bought it back today. System, Nathan peeled it for you with his teeth. I was shocked. With his teeth? Did he not raw? The system cat jumped on the table and licked its paws lazily. Yeah, I couldn't stop him. Get down. I slapped him. You haven't taken a bath in 10 days. The cat's fur bristled. Don't hit my butt. And I'm a system, I'm very clean. Much cleaner than you after you take a bath. Amidst the noise, Nathan walked out of the bedroom. When he saw me, his drooping eyes lifted. Aunt. When the system cat saw Nathan coming, it thought it was going to get support. It jumped over in 3 steps and wrapped its fluffy, beautiful tail around his leg. Meow. I secretly despised green tea cat. But Nathan seemed not to see the cat. He walked straight over, picked up the coconut on the table, and handed it over. This is very sweet. The boy looked over expectantly, his black hair soft, his clear eyes full of anticipation. His appearance was quiet and well-behaved, with a kind of irresistible cuteness. I couldn't help but reach out and rub his head again. Suddenly, I remembered him opening the coconut with his teeth and told him, Promise Aunt, if you turn into a zombie in the future, eat the people in the northwest first. The temperature difference between day and night is large there, they're sweet. Nathan, ? System cat, is anyone paying attention to me? My head is about to rub out sparks. Nathan? Hello? Mashimoshi? Nathan? I'm so cute. So beautiful. Why don't you look at me? Ah. I pretended not to see. Aunt also brought you a gift. What? Go check it out outside the door. Not long after. Nathan's exclamation came from outside the door. The sound of footsteps pattered. Nathan was holding a half-grown beagle, his eyes curved into crescents, full of joyful light, mixed with a few traces of disbelief. Is it for me? I smiled and nodded. For you. Thank you, Aunt. Nathan had actually liked small animals since he was a child. But his mother hated them. She gently pulled out the newly picked up, broken-legged kitten from Nathan's arms. Nathan, my money is for nurturing you, not these cheap things. Then, in front of him, she threw it off the balcony on the 12th floor very neatly. The kitten meowed very softly, without even struggling, and quickly fell. Clearly reflected in Nathan's wide pupils. A few seconds later, a bang came from downstairs. Like the sound of a watermelon cracking. At the same time, it cracked on Nathan's stuffy and painful heart. Nathan never dared to bring animals home again. He just sometimes put some bread and ham in his school bag and fed the little strays along the way. Until he sent a puppy that was hit by a car to the hospital and came home 10 minutes late. Under his mother's smiling gaze, trying her best to ask gently, he clutched the corner of his clothes, lowered his head, and lied. I was kept by the teacher to help grade the test papers. His mother believed him. Nathan breathed a sigh of relief. However, the next afternoon, he was called out of class by his mother. His mother didn't say a word. She grabbed his hand and walked out of the school. When getting in the car, Nathan heard a very soft whimper from the trunk. Like a puppy barking. His back suddenly trembled. Cold sweat broke out, fine and dense, like needles pricking his back. Nathan clenched his fists, feeling only a white patch in front of his eyes. Nathan. His mother smiled lightly, even more calm and gentle than usual. This morning, Mom went to the teacher to ask about you staying to grade the test papers last night. Guess what the teacher said? Nathan's heart sank heavily. He said, there was no such thing. Nathan, Mom is so sad, you actually lied to Mom. So Mom asked the uncles and aunts in the stores along the way after school. They said you were holding a puppy and went to the pet hospital. Nathan was shaking. Shaking constantly. He clenched his teeth, feeling that the cold wind was penetrating through his bones. So Mom took the liberty to pick up the little cheap thing, the puppy. The car stopped. It stopped next to a quiet lake. Mom has planned every step of your life in the future for you. I don't even dare to sleep at night, reviewing every wrong question for you. Mom is exhausted. The woman got out of the car, and the car door slammed shut. The shock made Nathan sway. She opened the trunk and grabbed a leg with one hand. The puppy was in pain, whimpering, but didn't dare to raise its head to bite. You feel sorry for a dog, but who feels sorry for Mom? The wind messed up the woman's long hair, blowing past her eyes full of hatred and madness. These are all the troubles blocking your way. Don't be afraid, Mom will help you solve them. Bang. Nathan got out of the car. He hugged the woman's leg and knelt down. Mom, I was wrong, I was wrong. Please, please. The woman tilted her head to look at him, and laughed as she looked. Nathan only felt that the laughter was sharp and harsh, like fingernails scratching a blackboard. He hated this sound very much. But he couldn't stop it. Suddenly. Very lightly, something broke through the sound of the wind. It fell into the lake not far away. The puppy's whimper stopped abruptly. Nathan's plea also stopped abruptly. He climbed up like crazy and ran towards the lake. As soon as he stepped in with one foot, he heard the sound of someone falling to the ground behind him, shouting a helpless and pitiful, Nathan. Nathan suddenly stopped moving, his fists gradually tightening. His dark eyes became more and more gray, like quickly withering flowers. After returning home, Nathan was sick for 3 days and 3 nights. After recovering, he became even more silent. On the way home from school, when kittens and puppies came to entangle his feet, he quietly went around them, never lowered his head again, and never stroked that soft fur again. Chapter 8. At this moment, Nathan looked down at the beagle in his arms. Smiling and smiling, tears suddenly fell from the corners of his eyes. I flusteredly wanted to wipe them for him. Oh dear, why are you crying? Before I could reach out, the puppy in his arms stuck out its tongue and licked Nathan's face. After licking, it opened its mouth proudly and stuck out its tongue, smiling. The moist heat made Nathan shiver. He hugged the puppy even tighter. System cat, only the new one is smiled upon, who hears the old one crying? Feed me peanuts. Feed me peanuts. I slapped him. Don't yell at me. Chapter 9. System, where did you get the beagle? I poured dog food for the beagle. It's strange to say, I just praised that the beagle was so cute by the roadside, and that Grandpa stuffed the dog leash into my arms and said it's yours, and then took a taxi and left in a hurry. Maybe there was something urgent at home that he couldn't raise it anymore. With that, I patted the beagle's big ears. It's so cute, it should be very well behaved. As soon as the words fell, the beagle's eyes lit up, and its head plunged into the dog bowl like a bullet, shaking left and right with bang bang bang. A whole bowl of dog food piled high to the top was gone. Me. System, it's rare to see someone who can eat more than me. After the beagle finished eating, it sniffed at the bowl in confusion, as if thinking about how the food disappeared so quickly. After sniffing for a long time, it raised its head in dissatisfaction and shouted, "Where, with its big mouth open. Earth-shattering. It was strangely desolate, and the sound echoed in the empty room. Me. System, I think I know why that Grandpa gave you the dog. Finally, it devoured 8 large bowls in a row. The beagle finally stopped. With a big belly, it clumsily jumped onto the sofa and started shaking its head and tearing at the pillows. What a sin. I was so angry that I was about to go up and grab its ears, but Nathan hugged the dog in his arms and looked at me timidly. Aunt, it didn't do it on purpose. The things it breaks, and the dog food cans and toys, deduct them from my pocket money, okay? Nathan's eyes were very beautiful, dark and moist. When he begged, the reddened corners of his eyes drooped slightly, as if carrying endless grievances. Even if I had a belly full of anger, it all disappeared. Okay. I put my hands on my hips. You play a game of Peacekeeper Elite with me. Nathan hesitated, but I don't know how. I hooked his neck and led him into the room. I'll teach you. 1 hour later, I lay weakly on the bed on my back. And I deeply realized that smart people are not only good at studying, but also so talented at playing games. Nathan took off his headphones. Aunt, I'm going to review my English mistakes. I grabbed the corner of his clothes. Review what English? Help me review the game. 30 minutes later. Nathan looked up and looked at me embarrassedly. Aunt, I'm a little tired, I want to go do homework and rest. I was in high spirits, I just found such a powerful teammate, I couldn't wait to show off to everyone who looked down on me before. I directly stuffed the mouse and headphones into his arms. Then in this way, play a game with me, and you can do homework for half an hour. Really? A promise is a promise. I hooked Nathan's little finger and shook it. You believe it now, right? Nathan lowered his eyelashes and looked at the little finger that I had just hooked, still with warmth, itchy. A few seconds later, he pursed his lips and nodded. Chapter 10. I played games too late. When I woke up, it was almost 12 o'clock. Nathan sent me a message on my phone. Aunt, I went to the bookstore to buy tutoring materials. Remember to eat the breakfast I bought on the table. I rubbed my eyes and pushed open the door, and saw the system cat sitting arrogantly on the coffee table. There was a mess under the coffee table. Dishes of all sizes were broken on the floor. The beagle was shrinking to the side in a panic. The system cat looked at the dog gloatingly. You're done for, your mom is going to abandon you. It wickedly rolled its eyes. Come closer, I'll tell you a few good ways. The beagle obviously didn't trust this bad cat, but could only try anything, trembling its legs as it leaned over. The system cat leaned close to its ear. 1. Get into Tsinghua before mom wakes up. 2. Go to the convenience store downstairs and buy a bag of potato chips and stuff them into your mouth. Although it's not very useful, it will go tree when you get beaten. 3. Pretend to pick your ears, because people won't touch you when you pick your ears. 4. Put some dish soap on the places where your mom grabs you, like your big ears, so your mom won't be able to grab you when she grabs you. After listening, the beagle opened its mouth and was about to bite him. The system cat stretched out its claws to scratch him without showing weakness. I hurriedly walked out. Okay, don't mess with Ciro. System, who is Ciro? That big-eared screaming donkey next to you. The system was dissatisfied. Why can he have such a cool name? I want it too. I thought for a long time. Belial. No. Saipan? Get lost. Ma Chao? Get out. Nylon? UF *****. In the end, both were satisfied, and the name was Damocles Sword Parallelogram. But I can't remember it. I usually call him Cat. The system gradually ate as much as the beagle. I asked him for money. The system squinted at me. Why? You've already cleaned out all my private money. You're so stingy, how could you not hide some? Bring it here. The system didn't give. So I hid the snack cat sticks and cat cans in the cabinet and locked it. In the end, the system was so greedy that it hugged my leg and dragged it. Please, I'll just eat one bite. No, just one grain. I took out 2 cat sticks and smiled at him, reaching out. $1, $1. System. Chapter 11. I asked Nathan to play games, but he insisted on finishing his math paper. When he got tired of writing, he changed to a biology paper, saying it was to relax. Me. In the end, I couldn't bear it anymore. I dragged him to the game table. If you put this energy of studying on playing games, we would have entered the top 100 of the whole server long ago. After playing 2 games, he had to go do homework again. I hit his books and pushed his shoulders. Oh, you say, I seem to be a bit seasick. Don't study, don't study. Nathan really believed it. He looked at me worriedly. Then I'll study secretly in the future, so you won't see it. Me. No. You're not allowed to study anymore. Play games with me. The system wagged its tail. You don't know how to educate children either. This thing needs to be combined with work and rest. If you manage it so strictly now, when you go to college and have less contact, the suppressed emotions will definitely explode. Maybe you'll secretly go to the library overnight. Then you'll have to be recommended for graduate school and direct doctoral studies or something. Me. Chapter 12. In Nathan's high school first grade placement exam, except for 1 point deducted from the Chinese composition, all other subjects were perfect scores. The grade report needs to be signed by a parent. I looked at the grade report, so happy that I couldn't close my mouth, and reached out to pat Nathan's shoulder. But I saw Nathan close his eyes suddenly, drooping his head, trembling fearfully. Next time I will definitely get full marks. I won't lose composition points again. The hand stretched out frozen midair. The system poked out its head. That mother of his really deserves to die. I suppressed my smile, took Nathan's hand, and said seriously, from childhood to adulthood, I almost always got last place in exams. The best grade I ever got was second to last, because someone was sick and absent. Nathan was stunned, raised his head, and met my eyes. Then do you think I'm very useless now, a bad woman? Nathan shook his head without even thinking. No one is always so perfect. The word perfect will only make you breathless. Our Nathan being able to get such a result is simply like smoke rising from the ancestral grave. Nathan's eyes flickered slightly. Actually, whatever you score, Ant will accept it, because that's the result of your own efforts. Ant has no right to evaluate or criticize. And Ant doesn't care whether you score poorly or well, as long as you're happy every day. I'm very happy. So, smile, okay? Nathan's hand, which I was holding, tightened. Finally, as if making a decision, he curved his eyes and raised the corners of his mouth. Aya, Nathan, you look so good when you smile. I exclaimed as if discovering a new continent. Are half the girls in the class secretly in love with you? Have you received any love letters? Nathan's ear tips turned red. He immediately turned his head away from me. After teasing him for a long time, I took the opportunity to stuff the CrossFire game into his hands. So, stop thinking about going to Tsinghua or Peking University. Come on, help me get to a grade first. Chapter 13. In the days that followed, visibly, Nathan seemed to have unloaded something heavy on his body. His eyebrows and corners of his eyes were written with ease and calmness. But I don't know why. He became even more fascinated by studying. Even the compositions that often lost points could sometimes get full marks. Sometimes, if he didn't score well, he no longer felt sorry for himself, lowered his head to find me, and discussed signing up for tutoring classes with me. I agreed verbally, thinking in my heart that it wouldn't work. He already wasn't getting enough sleep at night. I turned around and sent him to a cooking class. After all, my cooking skills were too poor, and I always took Nathan to eat takeout. Recently, I had really ordered all the takeout from nearby villages and towns. It was good to let Nathan learn to cook. It could also be considered relaxing. Nathan went to the tutoring class with a backpack full of books. But he saw the kitchen utensils and ingredients in the room. He realized he had been tricked by me. He wasn't angry either. He sat down honestly to listen to the teacher talk about how to cook. He listened very carefully. After returning home, he made the dish he learned for me to eat. After I finished eating, I sighed and fell on the sofa, raising my thumb. Nathan is a genius. Nathan blushed and went back to the bedroom to read. Sometimes, when I saw him studying for too long, I would pull him to play games. When we got tired of playing games, we would book tickets to travel. We went to Disneyland together to watch the flower car parade and take pictures with my favorite Judy and Nick. Nathan touched the rabbit ear headband on his head a little uncomfortably. Can I not wear this? I took the camera and kept taking pictures of him. Don't, it looks so good. To be honest, Nathan was becoming more and more popular. His figure was as straight and resilient as a bamboo branch, tall and slender. His hair was black, fine, and short, his eyelashes were long and thick, and his skin was as white as jade. When he stood there, he was cold and indifferent but not without warmth. Because he was too outstanding, many people secretly looked at him, pretending to take selfies to secretly photograph him. Nathan pretended not to see, just obediently followed behind me, letting me order him around. When I called out, he would look over, his calm and dark eyes seemed to respond to me, and seemed to be waiting. It was as if the whole world could only see me. I reached out and rubbed his head, hooked his neck, and my heart blossomed. Envy me, my nephew. Chapter 14. On the day of the college entrance examination, I put on beautiful makeup and waited at the door with flowers in my arms. The system was collared by me and slept obediently at my feet. I was bored waiting. So I played with the cat. Kitten elbows old man while crossing the road. Kitten helps grandma run a red light. Kitten uses eyelash curler to clip grandpa's heel. The system wanted to bite me, so I shouted, bad cat, until the bell rang for the end of the exam. In the crowd, I saw Nathan wearing a black sweater at a glance. He was slinging a school bag, his buttons buttoned to the very top one. His eyes were like ink, his thin lips were pursed, and his face was pale. There were also several classmates following him. It seemed that he was comparing answers with them, and his expression was a little nervous. I waved my arms. Nathan. Nathan. Nathan instantly raised his head and looked over. At the moment he saw me, the ink in his eyes instantly melted, and his plain expression became vivid and clear. I walked through the crowd towards him. I handed the flowers in my arms over. Nathan is a college student now. Nathan pursed his lips. Thank you, Aunt. The classmates who followed were whispering. Wow, this is the aunt that Nathan was talking about. She's so beautiful. Whoa, I also want an aunt like this. I smiled and looked over. Since you are Nathan's classmates, you can also call me Aunt. The classmates shouted generously and chirpingly. Aunt. Beautiful aunt. It made my heart blossom. Who knew someone was clutching my sleeve? Let's go. The corners of Nathan's mouth were pressed down, as if he was very unhappy. So I said hello and goodbye to the classmates, and walked away with Nathan. What's wrong with you? I went to rub Nathan's hair, but he dodged it. I thought it was strange. He had never been angry with me before. Even if I accidentally threw his homework book into the washing machine and washed it, he just silently took it back and rewrote it. I apologized, and he said generously that it was okay. He even said, fearing that I would blame myself, I wasn't very satisfied with that copy anyway. Rewriting it can also consolidate my knowledge. What, now you don't even let me touch you? I followed behind Nathan, pretending to be pitiful. Did Aunt make Nathan angry? Are you ignoring Aunt? Even if you ignore me, Aunt loves you, it's just a little sad. Nathan stopped. After a long time, he hesitated and turned around. It's not. He clutched the corner of his clothes, not daring to look at me. You're not allowed to let others call you Aunt. You're only mine, Aunt. My heart was instantly like being attacked. I reached out and rubbed his head hard. How can our Nathan be so cute? Okay, I'll only let you call me that. Nathan was satisfied, rubbing against my palm, very obediently lowering his long eyelashes. The system cat spat next to him, green tea just like that sand sculpture dog. Chapter 15. A few years later. Nathan graduated from Peking University and founded a company. After the company went public, the stock price soared all the way, and Nathan became a rising star in the business world, successful in his career. At a speech back at his alma mater, someone asked him the secret to his success. He lowered his eyes and glanced at the seating area, at me who was munching on sugarcane, playing games, and listening to trashy novels. He said faintly, I have a fun-loving aunt. Me? ? Hey, this kid, his courage is really getting bigger and bigger. Chapter 16. Nathan came home late at night when he was busy. I sometimes curled up on the sofa and slept. When I woke up, I was being held in someone's arms. Nathan, you're back. The man was very tall, dressed in a suit and leather shoes, with the coolness of the evening breeze on his body. He gave a faint He carried me into the bedroom and covered me with a quilt. Don't wait for me on the sofa anymore in the future. It's uncomfortable to catch a cold and get sick, and you don't like getting shots and taking medicine. I frowned and said perfunctorily, I know, I wasn't waiting for you, I just got sleepy playing the game and fell asleep. Nathan handed me a glass of hot water. I drank it from his hand. When I looked up, Nathan took it. The face that was once young and naive in my memory was long gone, replaced by a mature, stable, and well-defined profile. It looked like an inhuman indifference, with a mouth that kept people away. But as long as I called him Nathan, the tall, broad-shouldered and back, cold man's ear tips turned red. I wanted to tease him. I called out several times. Nathan couldn't stand it anymore, covered my mouth, and pleaded in a low voice, Aunt. I didn't tease him anymore. I patted his hand away. Comfortably burrowed into the quilt and chatted with him. Are you busy? It's good that you're busy now. I can't see you every other day. It didn't really matter if I couldn't see him. The task of raising the child was completed. The system and I received huge rewards. Now I was enjoying myself every day, and I didn't know how to spend so much money. I was getting more and more leisurely and lazy, and I felt that life was easy. Nathan felt guilty. I'm sorry, I'll come back earlier in the future. I turned over and stretched. It's okay, I can't even play all the games now. I've found several good novels recently. I don't need you to play with me. There are also Zero and Parallelogram. Nathan lowered his head, unable to see the emotions in his eyes. After a while, he gently closed the door and went out. Chapter 17. The system curled up around my neck, itchy. I lifted my leg and threw him out. The system wasn't angry, but asked me, the task is completed, are you going home? My original body was in a car accident and was in critical condition. Now that the task was completed, I could be revived. Wait a few more days. I turned over and pressed the cat into my arms. System, you wouldn't be reluctant, would you? TSK, what reluctant? I'm just saying that my parents in that world died in a car accident, and it's really meaningless for me to go back alone. I want to play for a few more days. The system's action of licking its fur paused. Meow meow meow. I waved my hand, it's okay. Suddenly, there was a figure moving outside the door. The system and I didn't notice. We continued to sleep soundly. Chapter 18. The next night. Suddenly, the hospital called, are you a family member of Nathan Bell? I was startled. Yes, what's wrong? Mr. Nathan Bell was hospitalized in a car accident. The address is at Yoha Hospital. Please come as soon as possible. Chapter 19. The hospital elevator was broken. I almost crawled up the stairs, found Nathan's ward. Nathan. I hurriedly pushed open the door and rushed to the bedside. I saw Nathan lying pale on the hospital bed. His stiff eyebrows were twisted together. The calm, cold, and calm appearance had completely disappeared, replaced by a visible fragility and sickness. Don't scare Aunt. I almost cried, burying myself in his arms to listen to his heartbeat. Because I was too nervous, I couldn't hear it at all, and I didn't know what to do. My hand was suddenly held. Aunt. Nathan's eyes were full of red blood, his voice hoarse. I'm here, I'm here. I held his hand and wiped away tears. Aunt, Nathan's eyes were decadent, and something seemed to shatter quietly. My legs can no longer stand up. My head went boom. I didn't understand. What? I looked down at Nathan's raised right leg. Chapter 20. Today is the last day, are you leaving? The system finished eating the cat food, and licked its paws with satisfaction. Then hesitated and turned into its original cloud shape. I shook my head, are you leaving? The system looked at the cabinet full of cat sticks and cat cans one last time, and sighed reluctantly. The beagle rushed out from nowhere, where were barking at the system floating in the air. Dead dog. The system cursed, but there was something more in its eyes. Chapter 21. I pushed Nathan's wheelchair. The weather was very good. The sun was warm, making people want to lie down and roll around. Aunt. Nathan said. I responded and watched before 抢先看就去湖吧, 是免费看. Let's go to Iceland tomorrow. But your legs. It's okay, I can walk slowly with crutches, and the wheelchair is also very convenient. I heard the aurora there is very beautiful, and Mom has always wanted to see it. I was stunned. You? I don't blame her, she had no choice. Nathan lowered his eyes and lightly tugged at the corners of his mouth, but I won't forgive her either. Okay, let's go together. Should we bring Ciro? There's a pet private plane, let's go as a family. Okay. Nathan looked at the shadows of two people on the ground. Because the angles slowly merged together. He hooked his lips and smiled lightly, thinking in his heart, it's really good. Chapter 22. I held Ciro's leash and walked with Nathan in the extremely cold latitude. Suddenly, the trash can in front moved. A cat's head drilled out. I'm freezing to death, why did I come to this godforsaken place? Before I could see clearly, the beagle broke free from the leash and rushed over, stretching out its tongue to lick its cat fur hard. The cat cursed the dead dog, and bit his lip, but looked at us. How can you not bring me when you go on a family trip? Ungrateful. The end.